will start with the Pledge of Allegiance that Mayor Lapine will lead us in, and then the prayer that I will lead us in. All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Solis,
Present.
Vice Chair Holcomb. Present. Commissioner Lapine,
Present.
Commissioner Potter,
Present.
Commissioner Reynoso, Commissioner Siebold,
Present.
Commissioner Spencer, Commissioner Yoder,
Present.
and Commissioner Walker is excused. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda is public comments. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom who would like to make public comment to the Madras Redevelopment Commission? Seeing and hearing none, we will move on. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion to accept the MRC agenda?
I move that we accept the MRC agenda.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Or I guess any opposed? None, motion carries. All right, and can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will now move on to our regular agenda, starting with resolution number MRC 2023-01, the Madras Urban Renewal District Line of Credit Extension. Crystal?
Thank you very much. So, due to the audit being extended, then we have to extend the lines of credit is basically what this amounts to. So we finally got audit drafts, I believe it was last week. We're putting the final touches on those. I'm still waiting on finals, but in order for, because the lines of credit are expire at the end of April, we need to do a 60-day extension, giving underwriting the time that it needs in order to make sure that our all of our financials in order so they can renew those lines of credit for another year. The good news is that it extends our fixed rate, because I was told we were going to have a variable rate after this, and it was going to be upwards of 6.75% variable rate. And so since they extended those terms, we get to keep our fixed rate of about 3%, so I think that's favorable for all of us. So if you would.
Is that 3% just for this 2 months, or do you think that will extend beyond that?
I was told earlier that when we renew, it will be at the variable rate and it will be higher. So the 3% is just for this 2 months. But that's okay for now.
We'll take it.
That's right.
Does anyone have any questions for Crystal? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the commission approve resolution number MRC 2023-01.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is resolution number MRC 2023-02 for the Housing Urban Renewal District Line of Credit Extension. Crystal.
Thank you very much. So this mirrors the other one in that the same terms apply. We'll retain our 3% rate, retain our line of credit amount of $1 million, and it's for a 60-day extension as well, but this one is just for the Housing Urban Renewal District.
Do you have a question, Councilor Siebel?
It's very interesting. So what was that new interest rate in a couple months when we,
It was
six-
quoted at
si-
at least 6.75 variable.
so I'm assuming this is going to impact the interest rates we're going to be doing as far as the loans we're giving out in the future, try to recoup that upfront cost?
Possible. It's totally up to the commission and the policy that you want to set, but it definitely brings into light the need for that policy discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say we need to prioritize that, because to me, it's going to be absolutely atrocious if we're giving out 0% loans and paying over 6% in interest. We're covering that gap ourselves. That is not good stewardship of the taxpayer money. So I think we need to prioritize for the MRC, coming up with a new financing regiment as far as our rate tables and stuff. I think that needs to be our number one priority.
Sure. We have our consultants ready to, I guess, present that information to the commission anytime you're ready to receive it. So they are finalizing that analysis now. And so we can do that ahead of the renewal for those lines of credit for the next fiscal year. So we can do it, I guess, maybe at the later June meeting be the best time.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Yep, I would agree. I think it's very important, especially for us to be cognizant of the fact that this is public money that we're utilizing. So we need to do what's in the best interest of the public. I know we have some more leeway with how we do our funding than a bank would in the typical funding sources for these projects. So it gives us some more opportunity to work with individuals in the community wanting to utilize these funds. But we do need to, as he has mentioned, be very aware of the interest rates we're being charged and the interest rates we're giving out. So I think that policy discussion will be good.
Great. We'll plan it for the 6/25 meeting where we'll also adopt the budget for the city and then also have to do the renewals for these lines of credit. So it'll be a full meeting.
Perfect.
Okay.
Any other questions for Krista? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the commission approve resolution number MRC 2023-02.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Crystal. All right, moving on, we are on to the third quarter financial update. Crystal.
Thank you very much. So I want to pause on this page really fast because it's important to note that the housing district did increase your property tax revenues from about $56,000 the prior year to $183,000 this year. That's huge. So what that means is that homes went on the rolls within the housing district. That's exactly what that means. And so because of those properties, then you're building your tax base, which in turns allow you to pay down your line of credit. And so that's what I'm using the property tax revenues right now to pay off the line of credit that we used during those first 2 years where we had to have administrative costs with no revenue really coming in. So that's really good news for the housing district. I'm glad to be able to see that trajectory. So probably next year, you're looking at property tax revenues between, this is a range, but between $250 and $350 next year. So that's double where you are this year. That's pretty huge. So congratulations for all the work that you've done. The commercial district is also healthy. It's moving along in what it's doing, you know, incentivizing development and removing blight, those types of things. So I can answer any questions that you have, or if you want me to go into any detail, but this is just literally a summary of where we are.
Does anyone have any questions? All right, looks like you get off the hook on this one. So thank you very much for that report. Appreciate it. All right, we will move on to additional discussion. Does anybody have any additional discussion to bring to the MRC? All right, I do have a couple of things.
I just wanted, since we didn't have really a departmental report like we do under the city council, I wanted to report on a couple projects, if you may.
Please.
Just wanted to report that early this year, the MRC approved funding for Rio Restaurant in the Harriman Building, Both those had, call them patio expansion projects. So just this week, we're getting structural drawings on that for the purposes of pricing with the general contractor. So that should be moving forward fairly soon. So that's a good sign on both those projects. Also, last week, we executed the grant and loan documents, as I'll refer to them in short, for the Initiative Brewing project. I was at Rotary this week, and someone asked, is that actually happening? And I said, oh, yes. One of the other things that the department did is we authorized them to put up some banners on the exterior of the building to help kind of communicate what's happening. So it's my understanding the Jefferson County Building Department will be issuing permits for that this week, and so that'll start. Last, I did get an email from the building official today that they have issued a temporary certificate of occupancy for the bunkhouse hotel project. That's a very nice project. I would expect a ribbon cutting ceremony from the Pridays. They typically only do one thing. That's the right way. And so that I'll alert the commission and council on that. So, but that project is nearly finished, and so that's a project was a lot more expensive than they anticipated, but it's also an amazing project that you'll be very, very pleased with. So that's all I have for you. Thank you, Chair.
I just had a question in regards to the Initiative Brewing. Is there a new estimated time that they're going to be operational? Because I think when they initially presented the plan, it was sooner definitely than it's moving.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when they estimated their start, which I thought was around the first of this year. So my guess is they're probably late 2023, early 2024. I recall there's about a 10 to 11 month construction timeline. Of course, assuming it all goes well, meaning materials and people show up and things like that.
Any other questions for Nick? I do have one. Do you want to talk about your meeting on the 27th that just went out, just to invite everybody and let them know?
Yes, I don't know that I have all the details that I normally would like to share. That said, it's my understanding the Downtown Association will be holding, call it an open house or a meeting for the community this Thursday. I believe it's 6 o'clock. Is that correct? Thank you. At the Wellness Center there in the public meeting room. It's my understanding I'm the headliner, and I will be sharing with the community an overview on number one, our Urban Renewal MRC business assistance programs. It seems to be a lot of interest in that from that group. We'll be handing out some postcards with QR codes to our small business survey that we desperately need feedback from our small businesses on how we can better help them in the future. And then the last, I'd like to provide them a brief overview of our downtown parking plan, the need to start up the advisory committee where we need lots of downtown businesses and property owner participation on that committee. So that's what my portion of it is. I don't know exactly what else will happen there, and appreciate the opportunity to get out in the community and share some of the great work that you guys have commissioned.
And I think this is a great opportunity for us to kind of push some things that the MRC has the opportunity to do in the community out to the community and to the businesses here, make them aware, because I feel like not a lot of business owners and not a lot of people in our community really understand or know what we do as the MRC agency. So I think this is a great opportunity. I plan to attend myself. Don't know if it will work out for anybody else, but feel free to stop in, and hopefully it'll be a good time. I do have a couple other things, and Nick mentioned it briefly as far as banners go on projects we have in progress for the MRC. I think it would be a good idea for us to design and create some banners that reflect that MRC is funding some of these projects and providing either loans or grants, so that it pushes us out there more and lets people know, again, especially with that project right on a main highway, so you got a lot of people driving right by it. You might have a prospective business owner that sees it and is like, oh, this is a great community for me to move to and start a business in. So I think that would be a great idea. I also think something to show completed projects would be cool, whether that's a sticker in the window or a little plaque that we can have installed on the building that reflects that the MRC contributed to some degree. I think those are some great opportunities for us to really provide some exposure for the MRC. I also did have a question for Nick regarding downtown parking, and specifically signs. If I recall, and this came up, a community member had approached me regarding parking in our downtown area, and specifically in relation to our park, the Sahaley Park, and wanting to know where they could park. And I believe we had discussed at some point putting signs to direct them to some of the overflow parking options that we have. And I believe we approved that. Did we? And is that something that we're still working towards, and could we get them up?
Yes and yes, kind of. Yes, that is part of the plan of the downtown parking plan. You kind of approved it and when you approved the plan, but we haven't implemented it, okay? So that's part of the short-term or phase one implementation items for the downtown parking plan, okay? And so to explain that a little more fully, one of the action items in the downtown parking plan is to improve signage in the downtown, not only community destinations, but public parking. So that when you're on 4th or 5th Street, you can clearly see where those public parking lots are at, that being the city-owned parcels mostly, which would be the former City Hall property, and then the former TS&S lot, which would be west of Sahaley Park, right next to the post office. The other part of that is that we need to actually improve, meaning make it clear how people are supposed to use or park in those parking lots so it's more efficient. So those are some of the things we need to do in the first phase. So again, one of the reasons why I'd like to talk with the community and the downtown association is so we can get our downtown businesses and property owners assembled so we can form that advisory committee and start working on some of those action items. I think there's a great opportunity also in this project to set up some signage for community destinations, kind of wayfinding, if you will. So we would likely involve some professional design assistants to help us with that aspect of it, but that's something we need to do here in the next 1 to 2 years.
Perfect, thank you. And I think some of these things just to maybe bring to us regularly, kind of keep us informed about where we're at with it so it doesn't slip, because I seem to recall that discussion being about a year ago now. So just to keep us aware, especially so when we have community members approach us, we can pass that information along. That'd be awesome. So
Yeah, no problem.
last thing I had, which we kind of already touched on as far as policies with the loans that we give out and the percentage rates, I think that my understanding is staff are looking at setting some more standards and getting some things codified for how we do this process for businesses coming to the MRC. And I think that's a great opportunity for the MRC to really be involved in structuring what types of loans we give out to what businesses, how we can encourage growth in our community and what we want to see the community become. So I think that that's great that staff are working on that, and I would definitely like to be involved in those conversations as we move forward on that. And anybody else, of course, is more than welcome to as well.
Yeah, let me jump in. I know I sent an email a few months ago, and you guys emailed me back, and I appreciate that. In our meeting in June, I'm hoping we can also address some of the other aspects of a kind of a redesign of the whole process. I appreciate what Crystal said about the interest rates vis-a-vis the June meeting, but I want to discuss all of the design aspects that I previously brought up to you guys. So hopefully we have a plan for all of those as well. We can discuss in June. So thank you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, if you've had particular opinions that you guys would like us to research that we can include in that discussion, so it's as productive as possible, please share that with us and we'll account for that.
I can resend you the email. Happy to do it.
But I think we're pretty clear on what your concerns were, but
Great.
if any other commissioners had preferences on how we maybe change our lending terms, please let us know.
Perfect.
Let me throw something else out there is I think we need to redesign, and in line with what Councilor Sleeves was saying, our gatekeeper approach. Because I know that you're a busy man, and I think we want to try to figure out a way so that we can get more MRC exposure kind of on those initial meetings, so the burden doesn't fall entirely on you to make decisions. That also gives us an idea, the feedback loop of what kind of opportunities are coming through the door. So I think that we need to be evaluating that as well. I don't think we should have a one-person conduit structurally. I don't think that's sound, so I think that's another thing to discuss and explore.
All right, anything else? All right, well, with that, I will go ahead and adjourn the commission meeting at 5:51. We will take a short break and then convene the Madras City Council.